Daily love coming at you into your heart and home, from my heart and home. Greetings, greetings. I'm just going to queue up all of our favorite social media platforms. How are you all today? Tell me, please. Tell me something. Tell me something. Okay. Starting the watch party. Media platforms. How are you all today? Tell me, please. Tell me. All right. No one's told me anything yet. Okay, I'm going to start Instagram. Ooh, got a little bit of Prince going on there. Okay. All right. Hello, friends tuning in. Go on live on Instagram too. Hello. Greetings. Happy Wednesday. We are in the middle of the week. Just to give us some sort of orientation in the midst of all that's going on. Let me just turn off that sound. So today we're going to have a question and answer session. I'm inviting you to ask questions. We've had a lot of people are sending me questions, and to be perfectly honest, I don't have time to answer them all directly. So I thought today we could start with a question and answer session, and then we can do a long practice. And I also want to add in some journaling to today's Yoga Nidra experience too. So does anyone have any questions? Hopefully the people who said that they had questions are going to tune in. So for those of you who are popping on, feel free to ask your questions. It could be about meditation, it could be about Yoga Nidra, it could be a way to manage stress, it could be a question about pranayama, it could be a question about whatever it is that's coming up for you. And while you're thinking of your questions, we're going to do the meditation in about 15 minutes, the breathing and the creative writing. But like I said, this first 15 will be devoted to questions. So, and as we're doing that, I should probably pull up my watch party too, because I know sometimes people tune in there. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Type them in. Get all your yoga, meditation, whatever other questions you have about resilience. Also, I was just recording commercials. I just want to let everybody know that my podcast is about to launch. I have a new podcast coming out with Hans Hickler, who Hans is an amazing man. He's one of my dearest friends. He's also been a client. He was the CEO of DHL. And he has gone on to have his own really incredible, he's an advisor now to CEOs, but he's also gone on to do so many good things with social entrepreneurship and investing in ideas that can change the world. So our podcast, Conversations Matter, will hopefully launch next week. It's so exciting. We interviewed some of the most amazing change makers, like people who are really making a difference in this world, directly serving humanity. It's so inspirational. I just got off the phone with our sound technician, and he said, seriously, your project has like changed my life. He's like, it's been so fascinating to listen to all of these. It's called Conversations Matter. It's not out yet. It's going to come out next week. So tune in. It's going to be great. And we just got a big sponsor, so we're so happy. It's launching really in a successful, sweet way. So for those of you who just tuned in, the first 15 minutes, we're going to do a Q&A, and then we're going to do an interesting creative writing meditative experience. Feel free to type in your questions, whatever question you have about meditation, your own practice. We can get into everyone's practices, because guess what? If you're having an obstacle to meditation, probably somebody else is too. So go ahead and ask the question. It could be about whatever you want to ask me about. Yeah, Jane, thanks. I will let you know what to do to promote it. It'll be out soon. And I want to interview you too, Jane. Maybe we can do that while we're quarantined. Jane Charles, who's on here right now, she is the producer of Sold, amongst many other films, including a new one that's coming out. Sold is the film about human trafficking, child trafficking in Nepal and in India that we've used to raise awareness about human trafficking around the world. The film has literally saved lives. And it has opened up doorways at the UN, at The Hague, it's really elevated the level of awareness that people have around human trafficking. It's been used as a vehicle for huge change. We used it also here in South Florida. After seeing Jane's film, Sold, all of the hotel and restaurant associations launched a huge human trafficking relief campaign. And now every hotel and restaurant employee in the state of Florida is being trained to spot and report human trafficking. And there's alliances being made with the police force and with all these other organizations to really get that solidified. And we just, of course, had the Super Bowl a month and a half ago. That seems like so much longer. But we were able to really make a huge impact and to save a lot of lives through intervention. So thank you, Jane. Okay, so Jane asked, do you have a short Yoga Nidra that we can share with family and friends? Yes. All of my CDs, the sleep, healing trauma, pain relief, daily living, they're all on my website. They're all on iTunes. They're all on Amazon. All of those have a short version. Hey, Jane, how short do you mean by short? Because the healing trauma one has one that's like 6 or 7 minutes long, and the rest of them all have, everyone has one that's like 15 or 20 minutes long. So that's there. And also several of these daily loves, if you want a free version, have short versions too. Okay. Angela asks, I'm feeling so uninspired lately. Hang on one sec. Hey, Sans, baby. When you move the table, it makes creaky noises. So you can either take my bedroom if you want. You can snuggle up in my bed. You want to say hi to everybody? Little Santiago cameo. He's doing his work. Hello. Have fun, Bubby. So, so I'm feeling so uninspired lately. What should I do? That's a great question. So a lot of times when we feel uninspired, it's when we feel blocked. It's when we feel like we're stuck in life. And I'm wondering, Angela, if you want to comment, what is the nature of your feeling uninspired? Is it that you feel that, like, what's like the root of it? So in general, when we feel uninspired, it's because there's nothing in life that's really giving us a kick. There's nothing in life that's really igniting us. Some of that can come in terms of like the pranic body, like we were talking about yesterday, our energy body. It can come from not having enough energy. And Angela, I know you. Angela is an amazing warrior in this world too. She got a law changed in the state of New York to make it easier for survivors of domestic abuse to get their abuse prosecuted and to do it across jurisdictions and state lines. So that was a really huge piece that Angela did. And so, Angela, when people like you and all of us who are doers in this world, when all of a sudden we feel stuck inside our energy because we're used to that friction, we're used to like being out in the world and moving and talking and interacting, all of a sudden that energy starts to get, it starts to settle. And so we really have to become architects of our own destiny in those situations. The things that I do, those of you who know me well, you can't see, but behind me there are stacks of books. I read all the time, every day. Reading really, really inspires me. It keeps my brain working. My community inspires me. I'm a member of an amazing fellowship that we always are texting each other ideas. I have amazing friends, family. We've been doing a lot of FaceTimes. There's also the house party, the group session. So sometimes initially it's just, that initial, is everyone safe? How's everyone feeling? Shall we play a game? Should we watch a movie? That kind of thing. But then eventually you can also have topics. So we had a really good one on Sunday, a really inspiring session where we picked a topic and everybody was sharing ideas about that topic. Excuse me, we're having a very at-home session today. Santi, will you let the puppy in, baby? Will you let Cleo in, honey? So when we are able to, from home, rub up against each other and inspire each other and seed out ideas and thoughts, I think that can create a lot of momentum. Thank you, sweetie. So things like that. Other things you can do are really go deeper into your practice, and that's part of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to provide a context for people to really melt in deeper into your practice. And if you feel uninspired, take your experience into your body, into your breath, into your practice, and notice what changes, notice what unfolds. Other things that inspire, ask people about good movies. Anybody out there seen any good movies? Reading any good books? Okay, Angela says she doesn't know what to put out in the world. So the answer to that question is listen for it. In meditation, listen for it. Find the thing where you feel a real sense of potency. So it's interesting, actually, somebody who's on here, we did a private session yesterday, and a lot of times our heads think us into what we think we should be doing. Like, I think I should be doing this project, or I think I should take this job, or I think I should start looking for this type of job, or I think I should, go in this direction. And a lot of times when it comes from our brain, we end up blocked. We end up not being able to really go into that. And no matter how hard we press, no matter how hard we force, it just doesn't happen. Whereas when the project comes from deep down from within, like my new podcast I was mentioning, Conversations Matter, Hans and I were having all these amazing conversations with people that were really inspirational with these change makers, and we were saying, like, other people need to hear these conversations. And so we bought all the equipment and we started recording them. And that was how the podcast was born. And it was that feeling of I couldn't not do it, like I had to do it. Like I had to do the project. It was taking life, and the way I say it is, it was taking life through me. So it's interesting, in yoga and in meditation, there's different Sanskrit terms that can be so revelatory. And when you're looking for what to do, what to put out in the world, you can really, like I said, take it to your practice. And what I would do is go into meditation, and we can even do it today. There's several of you on here, actually, that's what we're doing today in our practice, because many of you on here are sitting in the same question of what do I do next? So when we go into our meditation, we can tap into what's called a sankalpa. So the word sankalpa means that which is born from the heart, but it also means that which brings us into harmony. It's often translated in like modern yoga as intention, which I think you could say it is, but your intention hopefully should be born from your heart, although oftentimes we have intentions to do things that aren't necessarily born from our heart. But a real sankalpa is born from your heart. It's an action that's born from your heart. And in order to hear that, in order to really feel that, we have to learn to listen deeply to the heart, to really go into the heart and excavate what it is that wants to be felt and seen and heard, what it is that wants to take life through us. So we'll do that today in meditation, but I would just keep listening for it. And Angela, you are totally someone who does Dharma in this world, so I know the answer will come. You just have to maybe listen a little bit longer. And then what ends up happening from the sankalpa, we start doing what's called our Dharma. And Dharma is one of those words that's been thrown around. I mean, even like Dharma and Greg, there was the show, and a lot of people use the word Dharma. And for those of you who don't know, Sanskrit, let me show you this. This is the Sanskrit English dictionary. This is the classic Monier Williams. And if you look up words in this, one word will have pages of definitions. It's not just like one word and then, a little blip. It's like pages of definitions. And if you look up the word Dharma, it has pages of definitions. One of the definitions is duty. So our duty in life is... Actually, the English word duty implies some sort of like obligation that could feel very stuck, very frustrated. And the nature of duty is this. It doesn't have to feel like an obligation. Yes, you have to do it. It's like something that comes through you. So when I started Warriors of Ease, I could not do it. It was doing me. It's still doing me. I've tried to walk away 100 times. I can't. It keeps coming back to get me. That's Dharma. It's like the thing you can't not do. And it comes from a deeper place. I know Jane, when she was making Sold, It took her, I think, 8 years, right, Jane? Where she could not do it. Like, she had to make that film, and it was tremendously hard. And yet everything comes and eventually you do it. You can think of Dharma as your life's work. It's not your job, it's what you were put on this earth to do. Now, the interesting thing is the word Dharma also translates as the wisdom teachings. Oftentimes we use the word Dharma to refer to the ancient texts or the wisdom teachings themselves. And isn't that beautiful? Our duty in this world can also be experienced as wisdom. And anyone who's doing their Dharma truly will get wisdom out of the experience, and then those become the change makers. Those become the guides. Those become the people that we're interviewing on Conversations Matter. So that's what eventually happens. So Jane says yes, yeah. So, and Jane, talk about like, you can't get the idea out of your head. It's like, you just have to do it. Now, listen, Angela, I know you're a person who wants to do good things in the world, and the answer doesn't always appear right away. Sometimes it takes time to hear the answer. Sometimes you have to really sink down and listen for what the answer is. It's not always that it pops up and there it is and here's what I'm going to do. Sometimes we have to feel it out. We have to start down, feel, and it's almost like, when you hear a song and that song just goes right into your soul and you want to listen to it again and again. That's what Dharma starts to feel like. It's like the thing you want to keep feeling, you want to keep reading about, you want to meet everybody who's involved with it. That's what it's like when you hit Dharma. And for me right now, working with human trafficking relief is that. And it's amazing. I'm like drawing all the people towards me who want to work on human trafficking relief too. And we're all, doing it together. So, and it becomes that thing where it's none of our, no one's selling anything. We're trying to serve humanity. We're trying to serve these people. It's the modern abolitionist movement. There's more slaves today than there were at the time that we consider like the days of slavery, like before abolition. So it's just now it's more insidious. It's just in the hotels and in the secret hidden places in every community. So those are the things where you can't walk away, where it's like it's doing you, it's living through you. Does that answer your question, Angela? Hopefully, I would keep listening for it. Okay, let's see, another question here. Actually, let's go over to Facebook. Oh, Joy gave The Choice by Dr. Edith Eger, phenomenal. Every Moment is a Choice, inspirational book, great. Let me go over this one and see if there's any questions. Facebook's always a little quieter than Instagram. Okay, transcendental moments. How do I know what daily routine is the one for me? You mentioned something along the lines of maintaining one regular practice, for what I understood. What kind of pranayama? I am hatha familiar. Okay. So this is a really good question. So when we create a daily practice, it's not that we do one right away and like everything's great. It takes time to build a daily practice, and over time your daily practice will evolve. I think usually people find that there are one or two things that you don't put down every day. And I encourage you to find those one or two things that's like, no matter where I'm at, no matter what I do, I'm going to do these one or two things. These are the things I'm not putting down. They're going to be done every single day, whether I'm on vacation or on a work project or at home in quarantine. I'm going to do these things every day. And for me, those things are silent meditation. I always meditate for some amount of time in silence in the morning. I always do the Gayatri Mantra, which I love. I always do the Kapalabhati Kriya, which we did yesterday, and we also did in the breathing practice. And then I always do about 20 minutes of yoga. So I have a 20-minute sequence that is like my sequence that fits my body. It's not what I tell everybody to do. It's the one that works for me. And I do that every day, and that just gives me like a baseline. And then I don't have time to do it every day. Well, no, that's not true. We all have the same amount of time. I don't make time to do it every day. But a couple times a week, I do an hour and a half to 2 hour very deep meditative yoga practice, especially if I'm about to go teach a retreat or a training. I'll do like a 2 hour practice every day for a week, and that just amps me right up, and I'm ready to go then. I also swim. By God's grace, I have a pool, so I swim every day. That's what works for me. I take the dog for a walk, take my kid for a walk. So things like that. So you want to find the things that really work. I need the Kapalabhati Kriya because I need that level of energy, and I think a lot of us do, and I want that level of energy. I need the silent meditation practice because that's my time to really dip back into consciousness and really sink into it. So I encourage you to try it. Try different things. See what really works for you. I also recommend that you try different things. So sometimes we start one thing and we think that's the way. There is, even though I have a style of yoga I teach, I don't for one single second think that's the right style of yoga for everyone, because it's not. When I first started doing yoga, I did Jivamukti, which is a very physical, vinyasa-based practice, very sweaty, it wasn't in a hot space, but it was, very physical, active. And I needed that. I needed that to be in my body at that point because I was working in banking and it was busy, and that was really what I needed. But now my yoga practice is so slow. It's like practically Tai Chi, and I love it that way. And it's actually harder to do yoga very, very slowly. Those of you who've been on retreat with me, you can tell them what it's like to do yoga very, very slowly. So I would recommend finding a constellation of things. Don't do a daily practice just to do it. And if anybody wants a daily practice journal, I have one. Just send me a message, or you can type it into the comments, your email if you want, or you can send me a private message, and I will email you a daily practice journal. The basic elements of what in yoga we call the sadhana. The sadhana is in many ways the path. It's the path we walk. The sadhana, typically you always want to, if there's one thing I do every day, even if it's 5 minutes, is meditation. Do a meditation every day. And you can do Yoga Nidra. You can even fall asleep while you do it, which I do every night when I go to sleep too. And again, I usually fall asleep in the first 2 minutes of it. It doesn't take you any time to do Yoga Nidra. So you can always add Yoga Nidra to it. But some form of meditation every day, some form of movement. These bodies need to move. They need blood flow. They need muscles to be engaged. It also, when we do movement practices, it helps bring us back into our bodies. I know a lot of you on this call live very much up in your heads. And sometimes we start working out because we think it'll help us to work out to be physically healthy, or we want to be in good shape, or whatever it is, why we start working out. But really, I would say the real reason to do a physical practice every day, whether it's swimming or biking or running or lifting weights, is to really have an experience of your body in those moments. That's really what you get, is time to stop being in the head all the time and drop down into your body, honor the body, give it what it needs. And also listen to your body. A lot of these things, like, I don't want to be a namer, but like CrossFit, people walk in there and everybody does the same practice. There's no one same practice for everybody. That's why I love doing private experiences with people, because I can really hone it to that person, versus giving like a blanket experience that not everybody on this daily love session right now is the same. And if I were working with you individually, I would tell you exactly what it was that would be helpful, and we could hone it together. But of course, collectively, and by the way, you can sign up for private sessions if that interests anyone. But in general, you have to be your own teacher. You have to find what works for you. So some form of meditation, some form of breathing, some form of movement, and really make sure it works. And remember, different stages of life, your body needs different things. Do something, read something that inspires you. Read a spiritual book, read a book about one of your heroes. Studying Sanskrit, I know it's dorky, but that's one of the things that really inspires me. Sometimes I'll just open this up and I'll pick a word like prem. The word prem is like divine love. I was reading that the other day. Pages about love. All the different ways that we can understand love, because there are so many different forms of love. And so that is part of our spiritual practice too, doing things that inspire our brains and our bodies. Other things are, I need people, and that's why quarantine is so important, that I have time with my friends, and many of my friends on here, whether it's having like a funny exchange, or talking about, relationships, or talking about what we're doing next, our projects. It's so exciting to have those people who are are with you in the river, who are along for the ride, who you can tap into on a daily basis and just be a point person. I consider that spiritual practice. I know I need connection. I know I need relationships. And I want to share a story right now that is so important. Native Americans, they are tribal cultures of all varieties. They realized the importance of community. They got the importance of community in a way that I don't think we always do. And if you look at the tribal cultures, before they were going to go into battle or go on a hunt or go on some sort of ceremony, they would do something in advance before that involved community. So we're all in the midst of something stressful right now. And so before that, they would move their bodies, dance. I've been dancing every day, like I said, with AJ, which is at SitDownAJ on Instagram. And it's like amazing. It makes me so happy every day. I feel in community. When we move in community, when we listen to music in community, Santi and I have our like after dinners dance parties, or we go out by the pool and we have a dance party. And it's so much fun. It's just silly and nobody cares what you look like and you just do it. Those things, actually modern science now is showing, actually help you to process traumatic experiences. Not only does it release all the endorphins and the cortisone, we have Liz Plank on here who, if you don't follow Liz Plank Official, follow her. She has so much joy on her Instagram, and she has all sorts of like dances, and she's fun and she dances with other people, and it's such a reminder of how we can be contagious for each other. We can like ignite that joy and that connection with people, and she does it too, not just in conventional places. She was just doing, before we went into quarantine, she was following all the political figures as they went on their circuits, and she was doing her dancing there. Like, you can do it anywhere. We need to inject joy into life. We need to inject joy into all aspects of life. And the native cultures did that. They would have a big fire and they would dance around it. You can do that if you have a backyard. Light up the grill, or if you have a fire pit, make a fire. And, or just put on music in your living room and light a candle. But do things that really interject joy into it. And so many times people think spiritual practice or daily routine has to be serious. Like, there's 1,000 times more likelihood that you're going to do it if you're having fun doing it. If you want to put on music while you do asana, put on music while you do asana. Yesterday I was listening to Adele while I did asana. It was like really fun. I loved it. It was like striking all these chords in me. You can do whatever you want. So really take time to do that. Okay, we're going to do the practice now in a minute. I noticed we have one other question. So Liz asks, what if we usually know how to serve humanity, but right now we don't know how to serve humanity because everything is so scary and uncertain? I'll say one thing to that, and then I will invite that question to come into the practice. When we feel scared and uncertain, we need to ask ourselves the question, what do I need to feel safe? What do I need to feel good? What do I need to feel healthy and alive? And once we create those conditions inside of ourselves first, we can start doing that, pollinating it out into this place or that place, or with this friend, or online, or wherever you want to share it. The answer will come. The answer will come. The answer will come up when you really keep sinking down into your own experience. Because what you need to serve your own the humanity of yourself, is also what the world needs. And I would really also ask people the questions like, what is it that you're suffering? Now, the very first session we did, Amber Alert. Okay. Sorry, Amber Alert happened. So when we first did the first, let's just like take a moment to pray for this Amber Alert. These people, in the midst of this, to lose a child, nothing worse. Send out a heartfelt prayer for them. So even just a moment of stepping back and tuning in and sending love, that is how you can serve humanity. You can serve humanity in whatever unique way you have to offer it. But the reality is that there's so much suffering on this world. Some of you might feel inspired to serve animals. Some of you might feel inspired to serve kids or people or human trafficking survivors or nature or the planet. Find the thing that strikes the chord in you, the thing that you have to do, the thing that you feel deep in your heart, the thing that you are in your own life. Like, I was doing a session with somebody a few days ago, a private session, and they said, like, your career has changed so many times, like it's always evolving. And the truth is, like, I have to do in my work what inspires me in myself. Like, I'm going to only be good at doing what really inspires me. And one of the things that really inspires me right now is working one-on-one with people to co-create. Having really deep relationships and these private sessions that I'm doing has been so rich and so meaningful, and we end up co-creating together, whether I'm just like in the back of their project, or some of them we actually are working on projects together. We end up doing that, like Hans and I did. So that to me feels like so potent. Human trafficking, I can't walk away from that. I feel a film coming up. I really love working with companies right now, because companies, I can do one program and it seeds out to lots and lots of people, and it changes the whole corporate culture when people can connect with peace on a daily basis, when people can learn to connect with each other, when they can learn to regulate their emotions. And so when you're looking for what you should do next, I invite you to ask what you need to do next. Sometimes we think we have to be the expert in something, and I don't think you should do things that you know nothing about, but we become good at something by doing it. We become experts in something by doing it. And I don't, Liz, somehow you're like a part of this today. I'm going to grab it real fast, 1 second. I'm going to do a shout out to Liz. Liz wrote this book that I totally recommend. It's called For the Love of Men. It's a phenomenal book. And it totally will change if you have a boy child, if you have anyone with a Y chromosome in your life, you should read this book. It will change the way you interact with men and understand men. It's tremendously powerful. But I want to ask Liz the question. Liz, when you started writing this book, did you know everything there was to know about masculinity and the way we educate boys and the way we bring boys up in the world and the way men interact? Did you know everything about it? I'm going to guess the answer is no. I think she's still there. But the answer is probably not. Like, when you start a project, you feel some seed of, I want to do this thing. I want this to take life through me. I want to create this. I feel the need to create it. I can't not write this book. And so when you start feeling that level of passion, and you have to like do it. So Liz said no. She didn't know everything about masculinity that it took to write this book that has gotten like shout outs from so many people. If you go on and read it, I mean, you can just open this book. There are so many insights throughout here. And you figure it out by going. The starting point was completely different from the end point. Yeah. And I remember Liz and I were in Venice, Italy last summer, and we were I remember her saying, you wrote another book like before you wrote this one, and then you had to like rewrite the book. My book's like that too. I've like rewritten the book 3 different times and it still hasn't come out, because it's eventually I'm just going to like say that's it and polish it. But and sometimes you have to do that too. But you start with the seed of what interests you, and then you start letting it flower. You let it open. You do your own research. You start doing your own inner work, and then it just starts happening. It just starts doing itself. And then the people come in, the resources come in, and everything starts to flow. And you'll know when you hit that flow state and that place where you can't walk away from the project. And that feels so good. And then you know that's your Dharma. And thank you for writing it. Thank you for letting me use you as an example, Liz and Jane and Angela. Yeah, and Guru Kiran said, what's the book dictionary that I use? The classical Sanskrit English dictionary is the Monier-Williams. This is the one that's, I would say, the most referenced, is the most complete for sure. This one you can get online used. I got this one in bookshop in Rome, right off of Piazza Navona. There's a spiritual bookstore there. And then I carried this thing back in my suitcase. That was like 3 summers ago. And I loved it. That thing is like, I use it all the time. Okay, so let's do a practice. Grab a journal. I want today to be a journaling practice. I want to take us into this question that we're sitting with. Grab my journal. Okay. So get your journal, get a pen, get whatever you need in this moment. Thank you for seeing and caring about my work too. All right. So, getting ready for your Yoga Nidra. You can lie down or maybe partially lie down, or you can sit up, either way. And there's certain things you do that anchor the practice, and every single time I meditate, I do what I'm just about to share with you. So this is something you can add into your daily routine. What I said the other day, we have to ground down before we can fly. So the first thing, just feel the surface your body is resting upon. The first thing is taking off whatever it is we don't have to be doing. So feel that surface and just give your body to that surface. Just letting yourself be held. And as you notice that surface you're resting upon, notice that waterfall of sensation down, how you're grounding with the sofa or the bed or the floor. And then feel that waterfall down, connecting with the earth, feeling the way the earth is holding all of us as we navigate this experience. And then notice the physical body, observing all the physical sensations in the body. So if you're taking a little snapshot of this moment, noticing where your attention is drawn in the body. It's usually just organically drawn to a place in the body that's calling out for some attention. Watch that just for a moment. In that same way, when we find our Dharma, our attention is just organically drawn there. So find where your attention is drawn in your body. It may feel helpful to place your hand on that place. Listen to it. You can welcome in the breath, feeling the way the breath supports you and exploring sensation in your body. Feeling all the symphony of sensations occurring. Stepping back and observing the mind as if you're watching the opening of a movie. Just notice how as you observe the mind, there might be a feeling or an emotion or a thought or a memory, something that's really present for you. feel the heart. And if you want, you can even place your hands on your heart for a moment. Really listen to the heart. What is here in the heart? What is wanting your attention? What is wanting to be explored? You have the choice now. You can either sit with that. I'm going to cue you in just a moment. We're going to unpeel this a little bit more, and then you're welcome to start writing if you'd like. Ask your heart the question. What is it that life is asking me to see or feel or hear? What is the resonant note or tone? What is the resonant frequency? As you feel into the heart, what interests you? What is grabbing your attention? It may come out as a list, it may come out as a story, it may come out as the thing that you can't stop thinking about. Whatever it is, go ahead, we're going to write about it just for a few minutes. So just put pen to paper, don't even think about it, just start writing. What is it in your heart that wants to be felt, seen, or heard? What is it that keeps grabbing your attention? And start writing it. If at any point you get too into the brain, drop back down into the body and feel into the heart again. What is grabbing my attention that wants to be seen, studied, explored? Spend about another minute getting down whatever else is here. Then close the eyes again. Tune back in. Listening to the whole body. Noticing what's here once more in the body, the breath, the mind. Now ask yourself the question, what is something present that scares me but also intrigues me? Go inside the body, the mind, and look for that place. Something that feels a little, on one layer it might feel a little prickly or like you're afraid to go near it. An old paradigm, an old thought structure. Feel into it. Notice if it starts to feel scary, and then notice why does it feel scary. Why is this place calling to you? Why does it feel intriguing? Why is it catching your attention? And then go ahead and put pen to paper and start writing it down. Write down the thing that's scaring you but also intrigues you. Really get into that question. If fear is coming up in that space, in that place, feel into what that fear is. You may want to close the eyes for a moment and check in with it. What is the fear associated with that thing? See if you can parse it out and start to separate it from the thing itself. close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself the question, as I feel in to the part of this that feels intriguing to me, where does that live in the body? What is it about this that feels intriguing, like it's pulling your attention towards it? The texture of that intrigue, or the potency that's drawing you in, and then you can put pen to paper and start writing it, hitting up, like really touching into the intrigue of whatever that is. Up whatever it is that you're writing. When you're done, close your eyes and notice the echoes of what you just put pen on paper to. And then ask yourself the question, is there some action this piece of me is wanting me to take in this world? Is there something that I can do? Something I want to do, a conversation to have, a book to read, something to research, someone to connect with. Ask yourself the question and then really listen into the answer. Put your paper down and just take a few moments to just listen inside of yourself. It may support you to take a few deep breaths, breathing in and through the body. And then ask yourself the question, What is bringing me back to life? What is bringing me back into this moment? What is that little strain I want to follow? That little theme, or maybe big theme for the day that can't be put down, that has to be explored. And just we have about another 5 minutes, so take a moment to transition in with that. And I wanted today to be really interactive, so if any of you have something from the experience, a gem or a jewel or something that was really insightful for you, if you want to type it in, you're welcome to do that. Or maybe if one of you hit on an idea or a thought or that fear that was intriguing, maybe you want to share something about that. But I'd love to hear your voices too. Community now feels more important than ever. The only way to make community is to be a part of it. So feel free to type in whatever is here for you. I'll share what came up for me. What came up for me was wanting to explore thought paradigms that I live in, and I was listing out some, and wanting to go into those and ask myself, why do I believe the way I do? And is that belief working for me? And to be really proactive about the main belief systems that I'm living my life inside of. Jane, I'm afraid of illness and death, but I'm intrigued because the earth is speaking to us and we must listen. Let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk, Jane. Angela, I realized I needed to share my vulnerability about being scared of the suffering of others, yet intrigued by the positive possibilities that may come out of this. Yeah. Yes, that's a really huge piece. Actually, I don't think I can do it without. I'm going to put in the comments of this a really good quote about that after, but it's on my phone, so there's a really good quote by Rebecca Solnit in an article in The Guardian where she talks about exactly that, so I'll make sure to send that to you, Angela. And I'll post it in the comments too. The wisdom, Pat says, the wisdom my heart informs my mind. The essential information is in my heart. And your heart has so much to say, Pat. What about over here on Facebook? Anybody have something that's coming up? Rachel says, what came up for me is providing online IRS dyads at the time for those in need, free for medical and first responders, and donation-based for others. Beautiful, Rachel. That will be amazing. Yeah. You're so good at that too. Thank you all so much. And I also just want to end with a prayer. And Rachel, I want to send out a special prayer to you. Rachel has to put her sweet doggy down today. So I want to share a prayer for your sweet family. And also, let's just take 1 minute to feel into our hearts, into the infinite, vast ocean of love in our hearts. And send it out for Rachel and her puppy and all of those who are suffering in all of our lives. That Amber Alert that came in during the session, sending out love for everyone who's affected by COVID, love for the first responders, grocery store workers, the truck drivers, the factory workers, everybody who's still showing up, who doesn't have the luxury of sheltering, and also all those who have the illness. We send them all love. We send protection. We can all nestle in to our homes. Stay safe, stay healthy. Send out that love and light. Love and light that has the power to melt away anything less than it, transform it into love and light. Wrap everyone up in that. Breathe that in. Breathe in that love, that light into your heart. 3 more deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, filling your body with love, with light. Exhale. Inhale, love and light, protecting, healing, nurturing you. Exhale. Thank you all so much for joining. If you're able to make an offering, please do so. You can do so at my PayPal, mollybirkholm@gmail.com, or you can do so on Venmo. The address is on there. If you need anything, know I'm here. Know that you're loved. Know that you're an important part of my life. Thank you for being here, everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe.